endorse, well, this is just another example of the left jamming their agenda down our throat at any cost. So I would also, if I may ask Jim and Lisa, I would really appreciate an endorsement on a no vote on issue 2 from MCFAN, if that's possible today. Thank you.
Do we have a motion from the floor to that, that we endorsed? Nancy, and seconded by Norm. The question is, should we endorse as a group, Medina County Friends and Neighbors, an informal social organization, that issue number 2 be defeated? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I would call that unanimous. All right. Normally I would insist on, I wouldn't say insist, but offer the speaker an opportunity to field questions, etc. But you know, I had the same problem last night. We got a printed out agenda for Lisa today because I didn't think my voice was going to hold up today. Anyway, do you want to field questions or just interact?
I'm happy to do that.
All right.
I was up in Lake County the other night, and I noticed that people kept getting closer to me, and I was worried they might be getting ready to run me out of town or something. But I found out it was because they couldn't hear me. You have provided a good setup here. Be happy to respond to questions.
Any questions?
It's the happiest group I've seen in years. Yes, sir.
Yes, where does the race stand between Romney and Obama?
In Ohio?
That's a good question.
That's a very good question. And the thing that's fascinating to me, I believe in very expensive polling. And I happen to hire the same guy since 1978 who was polling for Romney. He's not ahead in Ohio. He's not ahead.
Not bad.
He's not behind in the sense that Obama doesn't have 50%. That's what we always look for in these races. If one guy has 50%, you're probably shoveling smoke. Unless something develops that would change the attitude of the public. However, the intensity of the anti-Obama voter, I mean, we could have an absolute hailstorm, snow, everything else. It's there. It's really there. And Obama on these campuses is going to have a much smaller turnout than he did before. So the signs are good that Romney will pull ahead in Ohio by the election day. But again, when you're going door to door, I was in a meeting with Romney's fellow in charge of all of the grassroots efforts at the state level. He called me because my people, as they go door to door, aren't just handing out their own literature. They think it's important for this country that they hand out Romney literature with it. And I agree with him. And he said, thank God for Ohio and Florida. And I said, well, thank you. What does that mean? He said, it means we're going to give you some financial help to help you to do what we're not getting a lot of organized support for yet. But that organized support will build. Now, a qualifier on this. When the casinos passed that legislation, they did it in the early voting. By the time we got 3 weeks out, the Baptist preachers and the Assemblies of God and so forth had come forward, and they lost it the last 3 weeks. But there was enough of a lead out of the first part. So what we have to do is make sure that we get out there early and make sure that people understand just how bad. $4 trillion, I mean, unbelievable. We fought every world war and every domestic war we were ever in for half of that or less. And this is just unbelievable to me that anybody could still be advocating for this individual. So a lot of people feel that way all across Ohio. We still have that strip of Germans starting in Hamilton County, coming north along the Indiana border. And when they show up to vote, they show up to vote. And elections are not a partisan matter to them. Elections are moral and ethical. Yes, sir.
So on the same vein, where do our other races stand? Josh Mandel, Jim Renacci, I know Marcia there probably got caught over Renacci's office, she's 24/7 worker. Where are we standing?
Mandel is in pretty good shape for a challenger. He's going to have to come in with heavy advertising. Josh and I are very close. He's like a son to me. He's young enough to be a son to me. And he and I talked about this way before he announced. And I said, Josh, you're just going to get a hammering, and the labor bosses are going to lead it. And I said, you've really got to take that into account. His wife is non-political, and we've only been married a few years. He's working his tail off. There are people all over the state working hard for him, and a lot of veterans are working hard for him. My sense is that he can still win. So there's enough undecided vote there, which surprises me a little bit, because Browns voted for anything that Obama ever cooked up. But I think he can win. And as I look at our polling, I've polled now in 35 of my districts. As I look at my polling, which are basically Republican leaning, he's very strong. What amuses me is Kasich is over 50 in almost every one of my districts. I can't believe it. I mean, they've thrown everything at him at the kitchen sink, and he still has the support of the people because they understand who he's supporting. But the Romney thing is going to be tighter. The advertising is going to be important. When I talk with the people down there, I don't like conventions. The only one I ever liked was 1980. Nobody here is old enough to remember 1980. I was Ronald Reagan Steering Committee Chairman in 76 and 80, and I was on the Platform Committee in 80. God, that was wonderful. It was like winning World War II. We threw out a lot of partisan people that weren't doing any work. And of course, Reagan, people today still, boy, we need a president like Ronald Reagan. Always makes me feel good. Amen. And but this particular convention was screwed up from day one because we had a hurricane, and other than that, nothing was wrong. But we had a reception that I put on for our state committee delegates across the state, and a dear friend of mine, the governor of Texas, came by to say hello, and also preached like a Baptist preacher, and it was a beautiful thing because our people weren't used to that. But we really do have a thing to get our people charged up so that they understand that they can make a difference. They can, and they will make a difference. And you sure as heck did it in 10. Yes, ma'am.
Lots of Tea Party people feel like Romney's campaign and the GOP are afraid to tell the big truth. And they're sticking with just the economy. And we have an Obama who's written a book telling us who he is.
Exactly.
And then he spent 4 years doing it. And then he stands up there and he talks like he's one of us. And fools who've been taught not to think critically say, oh yeah, I'm against capitalism. And I'm just wondering, and then if you get into the voter fraud stuff that Bev Livingston came and taught us about, and when you go here why Judicial Watch is suing our own Boosted because 33 of our counties have 90%, and 3 of them have 100% of their eligible voters on the rolls when about 73% is only what could be honest. And here we are, opening up absentee ballots, which Jennifer Bruner set up. Sorry about my passion, but
I love your passion.
So we only have to give optionally 4 digits, last 4 digits of our social security number or our date of birth. And then Boosted tries to be nice to the military and open up 3 more days of the weekend, which only one state in this union does. That's Alaska, because it's hard to get around. And got that going on too. So now we all have absentee ballots, which is the hugest problem with voter fraud. And we all have early voting, when tons of other states don't. And we have organized fraud in every large city in this state. And I know for a fact that stuff from Bev Livingston went straight to the Romney lawyers. And what's happening? What's happening? It looks to me like nothing. We have been shut down. Ohio Vic has been shut down with a $12,000 buyout to do a mail merge. I'm scared to death that we're gonna win it, but we're gonna lose it because we have 20 years of voter fraud and no one talks about it. We're all so careful. And all those books over there I brought that came from We the People and people we've had here, and we look to you for leadership, but I'm scared to death. So sorry about the sermon, but are we ever gonna tell the truth about who this administration is?
The Democratic judge that just.
Yeah, economist, Pete economist.
Yeah, I just don't understand, it's like she's saying there.
No, well, I want to say anything about a judge, of course. I happen to be married to one, but I won't say anything about it, of course, except this. Pete is from Youngstown. Enough said. We passed legislation in the House twice would have required identification. And with all due respect to my senator, he wasn't responsible for this. It didn't go through the Senate. And a lot of these people are very concerned about appearing to be racist on these issues. When Georgia passed ID legislation, the number of black voters went up 20%. 20%. I'm sick and tired of people assuming that black voters are not honest. I don't think that's true. Party leadership is certainly not honest. And we have that problem in Cuyahoga and on and on. It's very discouraging to me that we're going to go through one more election without the certainty. Most important, we had a case where I had a guy, he won. Wilson down in Hampton County. But there were a whole bunch of people who came in and voted. And they voted from a building that was a federal housing project. And it was closed. And it had been for 2 years. And they voted. And they wrote after their names, Butler. They'd come on a bus from Butler County. So they wrote that down. Those are the kinds of things where we need an attorney general who understands what that oath means. And of course, the one we have is opposed to the oath's meaning. So it's a mess. I don't disagree with that. And I think it's time that some of the people who are embarrassed about telling the truth on these subjects got with it. Because it is important that we have honest ballots. And
I've been honest about any of it.
you think, you know,
We have a liar in chief.
yeah, you're not gonna
We
get
have a
there.
liar in chief.
They had the DMC convention this past week,
Right.
and you had to have a picture ID to get in there.
Of course.
But down in Texas, where all the poor people supposed to be,
Right.
you don't have to have a picture ID to vote. They just made that deal.
Federal court struck it down. Yeah, I was talking to my friend, the governor of Texas, about that. And in case this one election doesn't work, why, he's still available. And as I talked with him about it, he said, we would just have a terrible problem. And if those of you are interested in illegal ballots and so forth, if you look at Cairo's biography of LBJ, he went to the Senate by a fraudulent election. 125 names on one page were written in an off blue color in the same handwriting. And he became president of the United States after that. They kidded him in the Senate. They called him Landslide Lyndon. Well, that's not funny to me, because a lot of men died in order to protect that ballot and give us the sanctity of that ballot. And that's the kind of crap that goes on in communist countries, like Venezuela and so forth, Castro. I just cannot imagine anyone countenancing
I'd
that.
like to go to every one of those houses that say they don't have picture ID. They can't get nothing done without a picture ID.
Well,
Okay, we have time for one more question. Lady in white jacket in the back, I think, was next.
Why isn't this brought up before the elections instead of after the elections? In other words, this should be a prime thing. There was major fraud in the last
Oh, yes.
and nobody did anything.
Oh, yeah, we passed bill twice. Oh, no, my boys went to the wall on this one. And they got criticized in editorial pages in such conservative journals as the Beacon Journal. And let me just say, my people paid a price for doing the right thing already. That'll come up toward the election. Did you know that your member of the House didn't want you to have the ability to vote? That's how they run that. And very frankly, please don't blame my boys and
But I
girls.
mean, it's very frustrating.
I know.
as a voter, That
You're-
this is
yeah.
cleaned up and we hear this every election
Yep.
and we know it's fraud,
Yes.
especially in Cuyahoga County. That's the dirt county of the state.
Yeah.
And it just goes on.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you. I love to fight. The newspapers, they come up afterwards when I come down from the rostrum. They come up afterwards and they say, well, why are you doing this racially charged thing?
It's not
And
racially
of course, it
charged.
isn't racially charged, but that's their excuse. And at the end of the day, I have to indicate to them that they are actually leading to the loss of, by our young people, of their confidence in our form of government, because they know that this is going on. You know, it's very, very frustrating, and it's frustrating because it hurts one racial group who are typified as this kind of thing. It's just wrong, and we have to solve it. And the only way that I know to solve it is not to have you bring your electrical bill to the polling place, but to have people have IDs. Ohio has its own ID, the
You
Buckeye
have no
card.
driver ID,
Yeah.
so you don't have to.
No. It's not like this is some big puzzle that nobody's figured out. Georgia's been doing it for a long time. South Carolina's doing it. Indiana has done it, and it was upheld in that circuit. That would be
And
the
if
eighth
we're a
circuit.
swing state, it's more important here than it is anyplace
Anywhere
else.
place else. You are exactly right. Yeah, there probably aren't too many people going to screw around up in North Dakota. But bottom line is they're going to vote conservative, whatever. Thank you very much again. Thank you.
There's a democratic tradition of majority vote. Well, we have a group of people nowadays to whom that's not good enough. If you win the majority vote, well, then they try to tilt that with voter fraud. And if they still lose that vote, then they sue.
Right.
And if they lose in court, then they try to put it on the ballot and get it overturned. And that's what we've been seeing over and over again the last few years. And the only thing we can do is keep on winning and win bigger. 50% is not enough. We've got to get enough more than 50% to overcome the voter fraud.
Jim, I should mention that there has been a plan to take over the Secretary of State's role all across the country. It's led by George Soros.
Yes.
He's invested
Yes.
millions and millions of dollars, and we have a situation in Minnesota, which ought to be a clean state, where there's a senator sitting there who no more got elected than Sikkim. And they've done it all over the country, and he is not an American.
Right.
Right, absolutely not. He's anti-American. Let me highlight one thing that the speaker mentioned. We're talking about we've got 59 days to the election. Well, guess what? In 59 days, at least 30% and maybe up to 50% of the people will have already voted.
Right.
Absentee voting begins October 2nd. So if you're looking at when we need to bust our chops, it's today. And up through October 2nd. We need to get going.
Tell everybody if they vote early, then the robocalls will stop at their houses.
All right. Tell you what, protect yourself with the rules.
Not only that, sorry, Jane. Not only that though, doesn't Tom Z or who sent that email out? Did everybody get it?
Tom
About
Z.
going ahead and taking advantage of this since we can't change it? Vote early, because not only will it stop the robocalls to your home number and maybe your cell phones, but it will also free up the money that they're wasting on us, and they can put it towards voters who haven't decided yet.
Right, and it gives you the day off on election day too. Yes, Jeannie?
That's the other point. The other reason is because this is what OVIP is left with, Ohio Voter Integrity Program. We're set to do this in Medina County. We need observers, poll observers in Cuyahoga County. So if you vote early, then you can actually watch in precincts and polling places in Cuyahoga County. And so that's what the GOP is trying to organize with the support of Tea Parties and Ohio Voter Integrity Program. And if you're sponsored by a candidate, you can move amongst them. When if you have eyes there instead of 4 people in a polling site, that 2 are Democratic and 2 are quote unquote independent because there aren't enough Republicans doing it. So that's the other big thing we can do, is be a poll observer.
Be a poll
5,000 are
worker.
needed statewide. And
Be a
Jeannie,
poll
you're
worker.
a signature verifier for absentee ballots? Is that
No,
right?
I don't even know if I should take that job. I have to find out. But I'm going to be a signature judge at a polling place because I signed up to do that. But it seems almost more important to be an observer. So I don't know.
There's plenty to do.
Yeah, what's an
Poll
observer?
workers. An observer watches, and if you see fraudulent things, you phone in. And there's a phone in. Chuck, you talk about it.
Actually, we don't quite have enough time.
All right.
Why don't we talk about that after the meeting? If anybody's interested, who would be a good person to talk to about that?
I've done it before.
Chuck? Okay. Chuck or Jonathan? Yeah, because we'll be glad to take volunteers. But we need to wrap it up here. A few quick announcements. This coming Tuesday, September 11th, MCFAN will be hosting a meet and greet type of town hall for our candidates for southwestern Medina County. Yes.
For those who are allowed to enter the room, if you get the format, is each candidate going to speak? Will they be given 2 minutes or 3 minutes, or what is it?
We're thinking something like a 3-minute elevator speech and then just let everybody mingle and talk with the candidates. So if you have better ideas about it, would like to suggest it, that'd be great. Because we are putting this together on the fly, and it's because we've, been very active in Brunswick, Medina, Wadsworth, but we don't think we've really covered the southwestern part of our county very well. So we'd like to give them a turn.
Where in Rhode Island?
Thank you. It's at the American Legion, post number 5, at 120 Bank Street,
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
9/11.
on 9/11. It's hard to forget the date. All right, on September 17th, the Ohio Christian Alliance will be having their Freedom Banquet for Constitution Day. That will be at 7 p.m. We do have a MCFAN table. If you'd like to participate in that, the cost is a little bit steep, $60 per. And if you want to sit at the MCFAN table, let us know so that we can include you on our table rather than double book you on our table and on Chris Long's list as well. And then on September 19th, the Tea Party Express is coming back through. We're trying to find a good location for that in the Cleveland area. Let's see. I think most of the people here have seen the movie 2016, Obama's America. If you haven't, please do. Take some friends and neighbors to see it. My voice is starting to get away now. It gives us it connects some of the dots that weren't connected for me and gives us an explanation of why Obama is pursuing the policies that he has been. It may not be right, but it makes sense to me. Before anyone leaves today, please make sure that you're on our mailing list by signing in. so that we can keep you informed of what events are coming up. Check the shirts. We have a number of free T-shirts. If we have one of your side, we invite you to become another walking billboard.
You're on the back. First name on there, Medina Friends and Neighbors.
Right.
Who works for America, Ohio Grassroots Leadership Team, and we are the first one's name. Josh Mendel. You got double X, you've got large, you've got
Right.
mediums.
Yeah, and on your way out, at the end of the stairway here, we've got a pile of Mindell signs. The request from Free to Works, who has provided the signs, is take a handful. Just get them out there. They'll probably be stolen within a week, and we'll provide more. Oh, there are books for sale on the table? Oh, yeah, excellent. Any other announcements?
Yes. On Sunday, September 23rd, we'll be having our Medina GOP picnic on the square. It's going to be a picnic and ice cream social. It'll be from 1 to 4, so folks can go right after church, or you have a little time to go home and change if you want to. But it will be that Sunday, and I'm encouraging you all to bring your neighbors and whole family. All the R's and I's in your neighborhood are present. We'll have face painting and door prizes and all sorts of things to keep everyone busy. We do need help. We need help with greeters, food servers, setup and takedown. We're also looking for donations.